Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
We have been given a gift by God today to usher in a new dynasty.
Now you get RFK Jr.
Don't you want a president who's going to make America healthy again?
You get Tulsi Gabbard.
Putting our country in a continual state of war.
You get Elon Musk and you get J.D. Vance.
A hell of a way to start the next 4 years.
The right-wing Avengers.
We have an army of digital soldiers.
Department of Defense under Donald Trump will achieve peace through strength.
Shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one.
The rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda, and others.
The golden age of America has most definitely begun.
Begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay.
They're getting the dirtbags off these streets.
There's one guy who can fix this shit, and it's Donald Trump.
What's storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Thunder breaks, the ground is shaking from the weight. Voices crying in the night, but freedom burns a steady light. We hold the line, we won't let go. Through every trial, the truth will show. This is your daily dose. Open your eyes, see through the smoke, see through the lights. Rise from the silence, hear freedom's call. One voice, one people, united we stand tall.
Hearts awaken, chains undone. A new day breaks, the dawn has come. Through every battle, through the flame, our faith in God remains the same. The storm may rage, the night may fall, but hope will answer stronger than all.
This is your daily dose. Courage and fire, lifting the weak, lifting us higher. Not by the sword, but the truth we recall. Where we go on. We've seen the darkness try to reign. We felt the sorrow, we've known the pain. But every trial has forged the steel. In God we trust, His plan is real.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Josh. Welcome to the Red Pill Project's Daily Dose, live with you Monday through Friday. Hope everybody is doing out there and having a great start to their weekend. A little late on the start tonight. Sorry about that. Had my daughter doing a sleepover, so had to arrange everything and went to the mall today. And just one of those busy days, right? But man, I thought like the Israel stuff would die down after a few days. It hasn't. JD Vance is just like, I don't care. I'm going to say it all. I'm going to tell you everything that's on my mind. And then the White House, Rapid 47, comes out and says, oh, we agree with JD Vance. The vice president is saying everything that the Trump administration wants to say. This is huge. We are in the midst right now of saving Israel for last. And I want you people to begin to notice how fast everybody turned against Trump. Think about every step along the way, right? Trump is a man who is about loyalty. Loyalty. What he wants most of all from people is to trust him with their loyalty. And if you go through every step that we've had over the course of the last 17 months, how many people have all of a sudden abandoned Trump, deviated away from what they hired him to do, elected him to do? And now we're watching it all unfold. The stage is set. And, just like Gizmo posted this earlier today, and props to them, this was spot on. I'm sorry I missed this, but this was a good one. And they posted this one right here. Post 1578, 6/20/2018, Delta tomorrow. Look for more direct confirmations. It's time. June 18th, Pete Hegseth. It's time. Tim Burchett. It's time. We have DNI Tulsi Gabbard yesterday. It's time you know the truth. It is absolutely time. This is what myself, Alpha, many on Bad Lights, this is what we've been telling everybody. That, hey, this is going to ramp up. July 4th to July 4th, 2026 to 2027 are going to be absolutely epic. Expect fireworks and big booms. Understand that it's a symbolic year and that Donald Trump was saving the best for last. And so where are we right now? Well, we got a little bit of news going out. We got a little bit of news. So 2 days ago, you had many different conservative or just media personalities reporting that the Trump administration is thinking about getting rid of Pete Hegseth, removing Pete Hegseth because he is not on board with Trump's Iran plan. And I found that absolute nonsense just because, Pete Hegseth is one of the men who helped construct this deal with Iran. But listen to this.
I think a natural born warrior. His name is Pete Hegseth, and he has done working with the generals and everybody else. He's a natural, I believe. Well, so far we've been winning all the time. We're not going to lose. He doesn't know how to lose, and he's a tough cookie, and he loved the first day I met him. I said, this guy really loves the military. Very successful, great colleges, went to the best schools, great student, but he loved the military. And I said, I'm going to give him a chance, and he more than lived up to the reputation. So he's great. He's doing a fantastic job. Pete Hegseth.
Pete Hegseth. The Trump doesn't just come out and praise you when he's ready to get rid of you. We understand that. And so more confirmation from the White House that Pete Hegseth is not going anywhere. If anybody, I think it would be Marco Rubio, because Marco Rubio feels probably a little butthurt over the comments of JD Vance and what's going on there. But honestly, I think Marco Rubio is a completely changed individual. Many people call him a Zionist or an AIPAC stooge. I think Marco is definitely changed, and I think that came after massive amounts of declassified intelligence that the Trump administration has shown him pertaining to what happened from 2016 to present date. DNI Tulsi Gabbard's last day was yesterday. She has left ODNI to go take care of her husband, Abraham. And yesterday she came out with absolute bombshell, declassified emails pertaining to Dr. Anthony Fauci and the cover-up of COVID-19 origins. Something that, 6 years ago, you and I were called conspiracy theorists over. I remember I posted an article in March of 2020 about this. And I don't remember if it was, I think I did it on a blog post or I did it on Twitter at the time, but it was an article about the origins of COVID-19 in Nature. So Nature is a scientific periodical publication, and it was a peer-reviewed study about the origins of COVID-19 in March of 2026. And they go on to talk about in the article how it has 13 mutated RNA strands that were never found in the original coronavirus. And they assume that these 13 mutated in a cave slowly over time. But then right after that, they contradict themselves in the article, almost like they did it on purpose, stating the possibility, the probability of something like that happening over millions of years of evolution is even 1 in a trillion. And so they were signifying right in there that it was human-made or human-modified. What's interesting about that is that article got suppressed on social media. That article that I posted from Nature got suppressed on social media, the one that I posted. So now we have Bill Pulte coming in as interim director of national intelligence. Steve Bannon has a lot to say about this. And people are like, dude, why do you support Bannon? Let me ask you this. Why do you not? He's in the Epstein files. Have you listened to my take on the Epstein files? Have you listened to what I've said about Bannon and the Epstein files? Bannon left the White House August of 2017. Pre-Q, August 2017. Yeah, him and Donald Trump had a divergence. Since then, him and Donald Trump have been seen together multiple different times, lunches and so forth. December of 2017, Steve Bannon meets Jeffrey Epstein. About a year later, Steve Bannon goes and lives with Jeffrey Epstein over 6 months. For 6 months, he lived with him, interviewed him, hundreds of hours of interview. Bannon leaves, Epstein gets arrested. Epstein disappears a month later. Understand that there's more to that story than meets the eye. Understand that Bannon knows way more than he leads on and other people lead on. You can think what you want to think of him, but I think the guy is definitely in the know and understands exactly what I'm talking about.
The leaks on Pulte, and I knew this was coming. They're going to try to bleed this guy out. He walked in DNI headquarters. It is like McAfee in Saigon in 1968. Okay, your secretary and the guy making the coffee are all Viet Cong. You've walked into Viet Cong. So it's very simple. Everybody in the room that you had the meetings with that are not your people, don't put them on leave with paid leave. Terminate them. Let the federal government union or whatever come back. Terminate them. Terminate all of them, every one of them, not a couple. Don't let somebody come to your office and lay their head on the table and cry, oh, I'm for you. I support you. I support the president. Terminate them. Send a message. You're not going to be messed with. And you heard what they said right there. Oh, they're afraid Pulte's going to get his hands on. What do they always go back to? He's going to get propaganda that through the 2020 election was stolen and use it in the midterm line. You damn right we're going for that. You damn right. And that's why you're so panicked. So be all the panicked you want. Bill Pulte's in, and he and Solomon are going to get their hands on it, and you're going to have to live with it.
So remember, you have John Solomon, which is stepping away from editor-in-chief over at Just the News. He is going to be joining Bill Pulte over there at ODNI. You have Devin Nunes, who stepped away from Trump Media Group, who is working with ODNI. You have Bill Pulte coming in. Why is Bill Pulte important? He is just a placeholder. Bill Pulte is walking the ODNI, has no knowledge whatsoever, the intelligence agency, the setup, or anything. All he has is command authority. He can tell people, do this, do that, do this, do that, and he's not afraid of the repercussions. He is nothing more than a command authority of President Trump. In other words, the White House now controls ODNI. Think about that for a second. You have John Solomon, who understands FISA-gate, Russia, the 2020 election fraud, Mar-a-Lago, better than probably anyone other than another person, Devin Nunes. And both of those men are over at ODNI working with the director, Bill Pulte, who is simply doing exactly what they say. Declassify this. I want you to go here, fire that person. I want you to go over there. I want you to grab these documents. That is what is going on right now at ODNI. There is absolute panic in DC. Also, Bannon brings up a good point. Bill Pulte should walk in and say, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired. Now, that's kind of interesting because what you have right now at the White House is you have 17 months of establishment of this executive branch. They know who is who in the intelligence community, in the CIA, in the NSA, in all the various, in DNI, in the NGO, NRO, all of the different agencies. They know who is who. They've identified the people that they needed to identify. And so now Bill Pulte goes in there and cleans house. Let's hope that he actually does this. Let's hope that this actually begins to come out. I think by July 4th, we're going to see immense fireworks pertaining to the 2020 election fraud. So I love it. Like, back in 2020, it takes us 6 years for a conspiracy theory to be proven true. Today in 2026, it only takes a matter of days, hours, or weeks. And, for weeks, the media called Skid Row videos of conspiracy theory unverified or debunked. Dozens of federal agents have just now flooded Skid Row Thursday morning, some in plain clothes as residents directed where to look. This is directly tied to the LA mayoral race and the California primaries, after residents said they were paid as little as $2 to register and sign election paperwork. There's already a guilty plea, now a new felony charge, a 64-year-old woman accused of paying people or to register. Some told her their addresses. So the FBI is surged to investigate voter fraud in Los Angeles. Spotted on Skid Row after allegations of homeless people were paid to vote. Dozens of interviews were conducted in the streets by plainclothes agents. They got caught. I want you to think about it. They got caught. So how does this work in California? They bring the ballots into a ballot processing center. They start going through them. They say, hey, our guy's not going to win. They said, okay, well, hold off on that dump. And they go out there and they grab handfuls of ballots that are probably fictitious, fake people. And then they dump them in there and they start to handpick them. How do you get 40,000 in one dump that are just for Rahman or what is it? Yeah, Rahman. People are like, well, it's just the way that they did it. They dumped the numbers to it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that that's how they dump the numbers to the media. Okay. Like the U.S. attorney in California came out and said, yeah, we've investigated this. And what actually happened is there was like 3 tranches of ballot counts that went in and they uploaded their numbers to the computer system. And what happened is there is one tranche that was higher for Pratt, and there is one that was 100% for Rahman. Well, that doesn't make any sense. What that means is that they're hand-picking ballots and they're pre-selecting ballots. Yeah, ramen noodles. I call it ramen noodles. Ramen noodles! But they got caught in California. And I hope that the FBI follows through, that we find prosecutions, that there is enough substantiated evidence to show that there was enough fraud in that election to spawn a new election with federal oversight. And hopefully the spawning of that new election comes after the 30th of June. Why? Because the Supreme Court is set this month to rule on the case pertaining to, can ballots be accepted after 11:59 p.m. 59 seconds on election day? Can they be accepted at midnight the next day? And from what we're getting is the Supreme Court is going to say, no, they can't. The Constitution's very specific. Election day is one day. Ballots have to come in on that day. They can be counted past that day, but they cannot be accepted past that day. I guarantee you're going to hear that, which means that if they find substantiated evidence of voter fraud enough to swing the votes in either the mayoral or gubernatorial election in California, after the Supreme Court rules on this, then California will have to rerun those primaries. And if they reran those primaries, they will not be able to accept votes after election day, which means that doing it through mail-in ballots is going to be almost impossible. They might come out and say post-dated ballots, right? That's fine. But wait, hold on. All ballots have to go through the United States Postal Service. The United States Postal Service is cross-checking these ballots and their post-date marks. Gotcha. I hope it comes out. I hope it does. We'll have to see. I'm optimistic. So Director Tulsi Gabbard last night, let's listen to this. This is really important to what she says here, because so firstly, let me say what I think's going on here. So Tulsi Gabbard was running a task force on election integrity and infrastructure. She obviously has handed that over to Bill Pulte. Reason being is I don't think that they've completed the investigation totally yet, although there's something else going on here. Why would she choose to come out about the origins of COVID-19 before the election? So last year, she was focused on FISA-gate, Russia. She released some bombshell documents that showed NGOs were directly associated and affiliated George Soros with the creation of the Steele dossier, that it was absolutely a coup attempt. She talked about the intelligence community assessment, the 2016 ICA, Thomas Speciale. All of that was in there. That was 2025. And then more recently, she has been focused on COVID-19 and the lab origins of COVID-19. Now, why is that so important? It's almost like they are going in precedent, starting with 2016 and just moving forward. Now they're at COVID-19. Now, why was COVID-19 important? Because COVID-19 was the prerequisite that had to happen. It was the global crisis that had to occur in order for them to change, unconstitutionally and illegally, change ballot laws in the states. And if you don't understand how this is all put together, think about it this way, and this is all comes from the declassification of Tulsi Gabbard so far, chronological, precedent. So in 2016, in June of 2016, you had Lenny Bernardo of the Open Society Foundations, yes, that's George Soros's organization, send an email to his cohort in Europe stating that HRC has confirmed that she will move forward with the Russia propaganda campaign, smear campaign on candidate Donald Trump. And he goes into the email and states afterwards that we don't have any of the information right now, but we will get it through our connections at Threat Connect and CrowdStrike. Now, a few days later, Hillary Clinton goes out and meets with James Comey on July 4th weekend. On July 7th, she jumps on Air Force One and goes in campaigns in North Carolina with Barack Obama, right? The day after Lenny Bernardo sent that email of Hillary Clinton's confirmation, Bill Clinton arrives in PHX Airport, Arizona. And he walks out to the tarmac and meets the Attorney General of the United States, Loretta Lynch, which is highly illegal considering his wife was running for president. And what happened is that a news station got word that this was going to occur. And the gentleman's name was Christopher Sine. He was a Fox News affiliate in Phoenix. And Christopher Sine, in his autobiography memoir, stated that he got a call early in the morning from a good friend of his in the intelligence community by the code name of S. And S had told him that this was going to go down and they needed to get cameras on the tarmac. So they went down there and they did. Well, from what we understand of that meeting is that the NSA was able to listen in that conversation. The head of the NSA, Admiral Mike Rogers, was able to mislog that file, make a copy of it, take it with him, which then, when you fast forward to the election time frame, a week before the election in 2016, Admiral Rogers says that he went in to James Comey's office, played him the recording of the Lynch-Clinton tarmac meeting, and said that you need to reopen the email investigation into Hillary Clinton, and James Comey did. And then he shut it down a few days before election. But they state to this day that's the reason that Hillary Clinton lost that election. Now, unfortunately for Christopher Sine, in June of 2021, Christopher Sine unalived himself with a dog leash hung around a doorknob at exactly midnight. If you believe that, you're gullible. I don't believe that for 1 minute, but it did happen. Now, what's interesting about that is Christopher Sine was a former D1 football player at the University of Alabama, the same alma mater and same fraternity as one of the most powerful people in Washington, D.C. in the intelligence community in 2016. That man was named Jeff Sessions. S. Sessions. So, in precedence, now you have 2016. So 2016, So 2016, they steal the election. They do the Alpha Bank scam. They get the Steele dossier. August 4th meeting at the White House. They move forth. They open up the FISA investigations into the Trump campaign during this point in time. 2016 ICA comes out. 2016 Intelligence Community Assessment comes out. Brennan testifies that he did not use Steele dossier source material for this, which at the time they knew the Steele dossier was debunked, was not real. But Brennan lied. It was the Steele dossier. Eric Speciale went out there, and he's the one that tested the state-level election management systems for Russian intrusion, and he found no intrusion. Actually, we had very, very safe election servers, and that was gun-decked within the ICA, left out of there. So, now you move forth from that. You get Mueller, you get Russia, you get impeachment 1, you get impeachment 2, you get the 2018 midterms. The 2018 midterms are important. Why? Because George Soros, Open Society Foundation, various other NGOs went out and funded Secretary of State's, Attorney General's campaigns in each of these various different states. Happen to be critical states for the 2020 election. Now, why was that important? You wouldn't know until 2020. Now, Bill Gates and George Soros both had a collaborative effort of where they joined forces through their NGOs, and they invested billions of dollars in various different technologies that basically tracked pandemic response as well as testing for zoological viruses, which was unheard of at that time. Interesting. In 2020, obviously you get COVID. October 22nd, 2019, you get event 201 at Johns Hopkins University with the World Health Organization, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation that sponsored it, the Wellcome Leap Foundation that sponsored it, talking about a novel coronavirus that spreads rapidly in Brazilian wet markets. And they have to develop a mRNA vaccine in order to stop it. That was in 2019. A month prior is when Donald Trump actually signed the executive order authorizing mRNA technologies. And then you have COVID that comes on the scene. And it was interesting when COVID came on the scene, because this is why it gets important. Because COVID was the mechanism that was utilized to change the state laws, but the state laws were only changed by the attorney generals and the secretary of states. The secretary of states run the state level elections. The attorney generals kind of approve various different legal things that occur. So the secretary of state comes out and changes state level elections to accept mail-in ballots from anybody and everybody, including after election day. The attorney general stamps it and says, okay, that's all good. The election is stolen. Then you find out after the election that the Secretary of State and the Attorney General did not have the authority to change state laws, that only the Congress or the House assemblies had that authority, and therefore were unconstitutional. Who got those in place? George Soros got them in place. So COVID-19 becomes this prerequisite for all of this to happen to steal the 2020 election. Why it's so important what Tulsi's doing. Listen to this.
Before the COVID pandemic, Dr. Fauci, as head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, provided millions in U.S. taxpayer dollars to fund dangerous gain-of-function research on bat coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, work which is now widely viewed as the source of the unintentional lab leak that sparked the pandemic. Now, in support of President Trump's maximum transparency mandate, today, on my final day as Director of National Intelligence, I'm releasing never-before-seen communications and documents that expose exactly how Fauci worked with politicized career leadership in the intelligence community to suppress the truth about his actions, the virus's lab leak origins, and his role in directing U.S. funding for this dangerous research that caused immeasurable harm and countless lost lives.
Countless, millions globally. And it was politicized. That was the point. That was the purpose. And they've released these emails within this. So there's this one email, which is kind of interesting. Zero Hedge reporting. I just saw this video online from 2016 New York Academy of Medicine meeting where Peter Daszak talks about his colleagues in China manipulating the spike protein on coronavirus to make them more virulent. You know, when you go back to the gain of function research, I've talked about this. I don't understand why other people don't talk about this. But you go back to 2014, this is where it gets really interesting. Chapel Hill, North Carolina is where much of this research was going for the gain of function research with EcoHealth Alliance through an NIAID grant. Barack Obama at the time came out and he made it illegal for gain of function research in the United States of America. Now, I don't know the mechanism behind why he made it illegal. I honestly think that the reason they made it illegal was to actually push it overseas because they knew that they were developing a bioweapon and they wanted to use it at some point in time. Remember the 16-year plan depopulation event. Anyways, at the same time in 2014, the People's Liberation Army's top generals in biowarfare came out and they did a symposium. And in the symposium, they are talking about utilizing genetically modified viruses that target various different aspects of the genome in various different races or people. And they were talking about how they've already began developing these types of viruses. This is at the same time, okay, that NIAID, Anthony Fauci, funds $3 million to EcoHealth Alliance, Ralph Barrick, Peter Daszak, over at the Wuhan Institute of Virology to move the gain of function research over there. Well, guess what? China's, the CCPs, the PLAs, biowarfare division is ran out of the Wuhan Institute of Virology. I mean, this is direct collusion with China. And yes, you're going to find out when this election stuff drops. Here's the list of names I think they're going to be on there. Cuba, Venezuela, Iran, Serbia, Ukraine, the UK, China. I've heard Japan, Taiwan, but you're going to at least hear those names. So, interestingly enough, we are about to learn the truth in the matter. That I think the Trump administration is kind of reliving everything. They are going through an order of precedence to reconstruct all of this stuff. I mean, just think about it. We're now at COVID-19. Well, what was the last part? We had Epstein, Iran, COVID-19. Well, that's exactly how it all happened. We had Epstein, Iran, Soleimani was killed, and then COVID-19. It's almost like they're following this timeline on purpose, because that's how you get people to see and understand and absorb the information. You can't go fast and just dump it all out at once. A live call out right there to Super CAC 88. Appreciate the super chat, $9.99 there on YouTube. Appreciate you, brother. Awesome. And I'm just looking on Rumble to see if I missed anything on there. I didn't miss anything on there. We're going to do a hard transition right now. So I'm going to go ahead and read this one over here on Rumble. Yeah, my Rumble studio is actually working today. Thank goodness. So we're going to go ahead and read this real quick. All right, parents, real talk for a second. America's about to hit a huge milestone. We're coming up on America's 250th birthday, 250 years of freedom, grit, sacrifice, and the greatest experiment in self-government the world has ever seen. This is the perfect moment to help your kids understand why this country matters, not just fireworks and hot dogs, but the story behind it all. There's a free guide called The Kid's Guide to America's 250th Birthday, and it's honestly a great way to introduce kids to how America began, who the founding fathers were, and what they risked, and why the idea they fought for still matters today. This guide sends kids back to the moment when brave men signed the Declaration of Independence, knowing full well they were risking their lives for freedom. It breaks it all down in a way kids can actually understand and enjoy without watering it down or turning it into boring schoolwork. If you care about raising kids who know where this country came from and why it's worth preserving, this is something you'll want to grab. And the best part, it's completely free with a special offer. You just need to pay the $2 for shipping and processing. Just head to freeusabirthday.com. That's freeusabirthday.com. And the Kid's Guide to America's 250th Birthday is yours for your kids today. America's story matters. Make sure the next generation knows it. All right. Appreciate you guys for letting me run that. And then also on that same note, redpills.tv, guys, right there, you see it scrolling, petclub.redpills.tv. Go on over there and get your immune modulating mushrooms. Support those who support us. They are an awesome sponsor of this show. So today, what happened? Well, we got a new Air Force One. Trump commemorated the new Air Force One gifted by the country of Qatar.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least
Now, I'm not going to play the whole song because you know the deal, but the new Boeing 767, I think it is. Now, people are like, but he's accepting a plane from Qatar? No, guys. The plane is a Boeing. Qatar just paid for it. People are like, but what if they put, like, listening devices in there? No, they paid for it. It's a difference. Trump on Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. Let's listen to what the president has to say about these three countries. Now, remember everything I've been saying the last few days pertaining to all of this, okay? Pertaining to the defense cooperation agreements and the defense pact agreements with these countries.
It's really an honor, and I want to thank the Emir of Qatar. He's a fantastic guy. He went through a lot over the last few months. He's very brave, as were Saudi Arabia, the Crown Prince, and the King of Saudi Arabia, who's in good health. He's a little older. Got a little bit, I knew him when he was a little bit younger. I've known him all for a long time, but the Crown Prince is a fantastic person. And UAE, Mohammed from UAE, incredible. He's an incredible fighter. They're all incredible fighters. And they fought with us, and they've been loyal to us. And I appreciate it. Also Kuwait, Bahrain, and some others. It's
very loyal to us. Great fighters, and they've been very loyal to us. Remember, Trump is about loyalty. It's the one thing that man demands. Hey, you might screw up, you might fuck up, but be loyal to him. Don't deviate and try to undermine his power and authority. And you know what? Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, they've done exactly that. They've been loyal to him. Now, for everybody out there, like, well, why are those countries so important? The GCC nations, why are they so important? when you start to construct Middle East peace and you try to understand how to bring about Middle Eastern peace, if you just went back a year and a half, it's a very complex situation. You got Israel, which is, living in fear, and they hate everybody. They hate Islam. They're using the idea of defense and terrorism as a mechanism to go out there and wage war. That rises up various different extremist groups within the Middle East who've known nothing but war for the last 100 years. That gets funded by Iran's IRGC, the Ayatollah, the clergy. This brings about the Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah, all of these various different terrorist organizations. You had other ones, Al-Qaeda, Taliban. You had, the Mujahideen, all funded by the CIA, of course. But, you have one side funded by the CIA, you have another side funded by Iran, you have another side funded by the Mossad, right? Hamas, funded by the Mossad through Qatar with $30 million a week. But what you have is a very, very complex geopolitical, theocratic, radicalized point in the world that is a fireball waiting to explode. And what Trump has went in there and did is, number one, his first administration came in with the Abraham Accords, and this settled a lot of that down. Number two is in the second administration, he went out there and he created the defense cooperation agreement with various different nations: Bahrain, Kuwait, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. And within these defense cooperation agreements and defense pact agreements, these are hundreds of billions of dollars of defense spending that they're going to put into the United States economy that he is bringing to them. But within that is also an alliance that we will defend you if you are attacked by enemies. Well, who's their only enemies of those countries in the Middle East? Yeah. So he funded both sides, and we knew at some point in time the rug was going to get pulled on Israel, because Israel is just out there trying to destroy everybody. And so now we're starting to see this. We're gonna talk about this here in a second. I wanted to read this real quick. Dennis Conyers, 8185. Why is no one mentioning the AI supercomputer in Memphis, Tennessee, which is supposed to go online in 2026? I didn't even know about the supercomputer in Memphis, Tennessee. Dennis, send me that. redpillstv@gmail.com. Send me that. I want to check that out. But in AI, by the way, is the kind of the mechanism for all of why this is happening. This is all about power and control of the future of humanity. And the three main components that drive all of that are energy, computation, and data. And this is the real war that's being fought silently. And the Middle East is a region of immense amounts of energy and the accessibility to various different other natural resources and energy. And so bringing peace to that whole entire region, especially at this point in time when they have the capability to make trillions of dollars of profits over the course of the next 20 years as innovation begins to spark up. This is what Donald Trump is setting everything up for. And Iran was the last straw. Syria happened last year where al-Assad was moved over to Russia. I think that Putin actually had a part of that and basically told Assad to get out of the way. And then you have Jajoya comes in, and he is now the leader of that, who's working directly for Trump, and he's nothing more than a CIA or a U.S. intelligence asset. So we control Syria, which basically cut Iran off from the funding mechanism of a lot of the other Middle Eastern terrorist organizations. But when the Iran war happened, the important part of that was removing the IRGC hardliners and the theocratic clergy, which are radicalized. And this is where you get Khomeini that was killed. This is where you get many of the IRGC leadership that were killed off. And what you have left now is the component civilian government and some IRGC hardliners, but it appears that the civilian government has the power and control. We're going to actually see some examples of this here in a minute. But first, let's delve into the story of JD Vance and what he's been saying over the last few days.
Look, sometimes criticism of Israel bleeds into Jew hate. It just does. Charlie was very aware of this. By the way, Charlie was very worried about Israeli influence in American politics. He also really disliked anti-Semitism. But in the same way that sometimes criticism of the Israeli government can be expressed in a way that's anti-Semitic, it's just not the case that every criticism of Bibi Netanyahu's policy decisions leads to anti-Semitism or look.
He is spot on correct. He is saying what we've all been saying, but get shut down when we say it by the pro-Israel lobby. That not everything that people are saying when you criticize the Israeli government, when you criticize Bibi Netanyahu, that's not anti-Semitic. And JD Vance is calling it out like it is. I love this one. And man, he went to town in this interview. Some good clips here.
I'm probably particularly sensitive to the first thing because of the last 2 days I've been defending the president's decision to end the Iran deal. And I find often the arguments are, well, Israel doesn't think this is good, therefore it's bad. And my reaction is Israel's opinions matter, but fundamentally they are separate.
Wow, that's huge. Now, he points out two important parts there, is that in the White House, in the Situation Room, when they're talking about the Iran deal, they will say one part and somebody in the White House will say, well, that's not good for Israel. Remember, yes, did I even post it? I was posting something the other day of who's compromised and who's not. But anyway, understand there's Israeli hardliners in the White House. It's not Trump, not JD Vance, obviously. But JD Vance would come back and say, well, if Israel doesn't think it's good, therefore it's bad. My reaction is Israel's opinions matter, but fundamentally they are separate. That's right. What does America first mean? America first means America first, not Israel first, not Israel's interest or feelings first. America's interest first. I love this comment because we already know what's happening right now with, maybe this is JD Vance going out there and signaling something, but listen to this.
On the one hand, people will say that America's interests are always aligned with Israel's interests. It's just not true. And I see this every day in the conversations that we have and the back and forth. And obviously, the president has been very clear. He's got some disagreements with Bibi Netanyahu about how precisely to bring the Iran war to a close. And then I think there are some people who will say that Israel's interests are never aligned with America's. And I think that's also not true. I think the reality is they're a good partner in the same way that the United Kingdom or France are good partners. That doesn't mean that we're always going to have aligned interests.
Whoa. Have you heard what's been being said about NATO as of recent by Hegseth? Basically, we don't need you. Have you seen Donald Trump's economic actions towards the UK and France and the military actions? Basically, if you guys don't get your shit together, then we're leaving you in the dust and we don't care. What JD Vance just said right there is he compared our relationship as the United States of America to Israel as comparable to the UK and France. That's huge. Here's another one. This is a good one. This is a good one. I mean, he's laying it all out, telling you the truth.
Another disagreement that we have on the right that's especially erupted after Charlie was assassinated is about Israel's role in American politics and the argument over whether or not they have an outsized influence here in the U.S. And so what is your take on that? Do you believe that Israel has an outsized influence in the U.S.?
Well, I certainly think that Israel, like a lot of other countries, tries to influence American politics. I sort of take that as a given. And what I think is that American leaders have to be very careful that when we pursue something, we're doing it for America's best interest and not for any other country's best interest.
Confirmation. He's telling it how it is. Now, JD Vance is going very hard on Israel. Why? If there's peace in the Middle East, what security guarantees do you need to bring to Israel anymore? The security guarantees that we bring to Israel are one of the reasons why they invaded southern Lebanon. Do people see that logic? The security guarantees that the United States of America brings to Israel is the reason why, when this war started in Iran, Israel invaded southern Lebanon. It's because they had security guarantees. They had billions of dollars, $3 billion coming in, plus weapons and replacements. The only reason they went into southern Lebanon and began attacking Hezbollah is because they had security guarantees. You pull the security guarantees off the table. Are they still going to be that aggressive nature? Are they still going to reach out and bomb somebody? Yesterday, one of the cabinet members in Bibi Netanyahu's cabinet said, he goes, look, the only reason that we are pro-America and all about America is because America pays us. We're glad to pay it on our own or to buy Chinese fighter jets. He fucking said that. In other words, the $3 billion a year is not America buying Israel. It's the United States buying Israel's loyalty. That's not America first. And this is what JD Vance is trying to push out there and say. Now it goes to the idea of Iran. Listen specifically to what JD Vance says.
Nuclear program is gone, and we would see it if they tried to rebuild, and their economy is in shambles. That is true regardless of whether this deal is signed or not. Okay? So now you get to the deal, and you say, given that the Iranians are in a tough spot, and given that many people within the regime are saying, well, maybe we'd like to change our relationship with the United States compared to what it's been for 47 years. And you do still have terrorist elements within the regime, but you also have pragmatic elements within the regime who are actually affirmatively trying to have a better relationship with the United States. The nuclear program is gone.
Wait, what did he just say?
But you also have pragmatic elements within the regime who are actually affirmatively trying to have a better relationship with the United States.
Isn't that what we've been talking about the last few months? The civilian component government. Trump hand-selected them. Trump would only negotiate with them. The IRGC hardliners are trying to undermine them at every single cost. The reason they're still alive is because Trump was talking with them. JD Vance is saying they're not radicalized. They're actually very, very rational, and they're trying to communicate with us, and they want the best for their country. Super CAC 88. When can we expect the MSM to go down after SAVE Act fails and Trump signs the National Insurrection Emergency Act? I don't know. I don't know if that's how it's all going to go down. Where can we expect the mainstream media to go down after the SAVE Act fails and Trump signs? This is a $10 super chat, by the way. And the Trump signs the National Insurrection Emergency Act. Well, it's the Insurrection Act, not Insurrection Emergency Act. The Insurrection Act could only be signed under various different stipulations that are met. I don't see how the mainstream media would go down. What you need to do is you need to get rid of the Smith-Mundt Act. As Alpha has discussed and talked about many times before. So I think there's a few steps to all of that processing. Now, we just listened to JD Vance. This is from Rapid 47. What do they say here? Respectively, everything the vice president has said is what the president has said and believes. If you disagree with the commander-in-chief of the United States Armed Forces, that's on you. Look at this. Everything the vice president has said is what the president has said and believes. You like apples? How about them apples? You gotta love it. Today's a historic day, a day where Israel changed the definition of ceasefire. So earlier today, Israel announced it was announced a ceasefire between Hezbollah and Israel. Trump was happy about this. Okay, now we have a ceasefire. So today's a historic day where Israel changes the definition of ceasefire. Channel 12 reports a ceasefire does not mean ceasing fire. It means not escalating the attacks. The IDF spokesperson said Hezbollah is fighting a defensive battle to prevent our forces from completing the destruction of these infrastructures. Hezbollah is the one that violated the ceasefire. It is trying to defend its capabilities it built over years. Oh, are you fucking kidding me? I shit you not. People are like, well, like 5 IDF soldiers died. They died while Hezbollah was defending themselves. That means Israel was offensively attacking them. So Israel comes out today, announces a ceasefire, an hour later begins dropping bombs. And they say, oh, a ceasefire doesn't mean ceasing fire. It means not escalating the attacks. IDF spokesperson said, verbatim, IDF spokesperson, Hezbollah is fighting a defensive battle to prevent our forces from completing the destruction of these infrastructures. Hezbollah is the one that violated the ceasefire. It is trying to defend its capabilities it built over years. Now, as much as that doesn't make sense, it's exactly what we've been saying was going to happen. That the other night on DEFCON 0, I said that you're going to see the absurdity of Israel. They're going to test the limits of all of this. They are going to undermine Donald Trump at every point and every level that they can over the course of the next few weeks. Am I still online? I had my Ethernet cable jumped out. That's what happened. Oh shit. Hold on a second. I was connected through Wi-Fi. That was weird. Glad I'm still online. Let me see. Okay, yeah. Okay, so over the course of the next few weeks, what you're going to see is Netanyahu is divergent from Trump. Netanyahu is divergent from the United States. They are going to put no holds barred. I bet you even see some leaks, probably on 4chan or something, of new Epstein files, because that's how they're going to roll. This is going to get really, really interesting. Remember, you don't cross or piss off Israel. And this is what the Trump administration just did. Now, I'm happy they did. I'm glad they did. But this is the part where you can't tell the people. You have to show the people. And remember, all of the FAGA, the anti-MAGA community. Miriam Adelson gave Donald Trump $200 million. He works for Miriam Adelson. Really? The Israel Hayom, which is owned by Miriam Adelson, published this article today. You could have been the greatest president of all, but you failed. Mr. President, you have gravely harmed the human interest of the enlightened world, and you may be remembered forever as the president who brought about America's humiliation. You betrayed us, the Israelis, and in a single moment, the contempt you once faced suddenly seemed so justified and logical. That's from Miriam Adelson's publication. Guys, it's happening. So, according to Channel 12, which, by the way, don't believe anything Channel 12 says unless it's pro-Israel, because it's more just Mossad and Shin Bet propaganda. The Trump administration is opening unofficial communications with opposition leaders in Israel. I literally just said this the other day. I said, what you're going to see is Bibi Netanyahu is not going to be in politics for more than 6 months, and then you're going to have the opposition party come in, and you're going to find the U.S.-Israeli relationship more divergent as Israel goes more left. So Mario Newalt put this out there, and I agree with him on this statement. He says, anybody wondering why I'm criticizing Israel a lot lately? No, I don't wonder. I know why I'm criticizing Israel. And I'm not criticizing the country of Israel. I'm not criticizing the biblical Israel. I'm criticizing the 1948 vassal state that was created, that is ran by Bibi Netanyahu and his government right now. That's what we're criticizing. The Israeli defense minister said this today. We have flattened the entire first line of villages in southern Lebanon. All the houses have been destroyed. The residents will never see them standing ever again. The 200,000 Lebanese residents who were in the security zone are never returning again. Not one of them will ever return to southern Lebanon. The Minister of National Security said, for every tear of an Israeli mother, 1,000 Lebanese mothers must weep. All of Lebanon must burn. These people are fucking psychotic. Remember last week we talked about vulnerability points? They believe that they're their point of highest strength, but really they're at their point of the highest vulnerability. And that's because Trump just rug pulled them. This is the greater Israel theory, guys. It's about, so think about this. In the prophecy, the entire world turns on Israel. The entire world hates Israel. This is what they're doing. They've already begun. This is what they're doing. Lebanon, southern Lebanon is all about greater Israel. Yair Lapid says this right here. The past day, the U.S. vice president got angry at a press conference over Smotrich and Ben-Gvir. Foreign Minister Sair cut ties with the European Union's foreign minister, and President Trump said Netanyahu is showing irresponsibility in Lebanon. If we don't quickly replace this government, Israel's foreign relations will be wiped out. This is another foreign minister in Israel talking about replacing the U.S. government. These people believe they fucking own the world. These people, the Netanyahu regime, guys, not the Jewish people, the Netanyahu regime. Okay. So where are we at? Okay, we're going to get into this part here. I got to run this one from Rumble real quick, and then we're going to jump into the last few stories here. We hear a lot about crypto, but here's the part most people miss. Crypto was created so you can actually own and control your money. After the 2008 financial crisis, Bitcoin was designed as an alternative to banks. So instead of banks holding your money, delaying transfers, or limiting access, you are in control. And if you've ever had to wait for a transfer to clear, you've felt the problem. Now, fast forward today, everyone's heard of crypto, but getting started still feels complicated. That's exactly why I use Rumble Wallet. It takes all that complexity and makes it simple. Choose what you want: Bitcoin, dollar-backed stablecoins, or even digital gold backed by real gold. No complicated setup. It connects with MoonPay, so you can use your credit card, debit card, or bank and be up and running in minutes. Once you're set up, you can even support your favorite Rumble creators like me directly. So do this now. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description and download the Rumble Wallet. From there, you can set up your wallet, tap buy, and you're in the game. In just a few minutes, you can go from hearing about crypto to actually owning some. All right. Appreciate you guys for letting me do that one. And we got a massive audience out there tonight. 2,000 on Rumble. We got over almost 1,100 over there on YouTube. You guys are awesome. Okay. This is interesting. Remember what JD Vance said. Remember what President Trump said yesterday. That the Iranian officials that they are working with are rational. They're unradicalized. They actually care about their country. Mario says here, Iranian Foreign Minister Araghchi calls Israel's minister Ben-Gvir a genocidal lunatic after Ben-Gvir posted, "For every tear of an Israeli mother, 1,000 Lebanese mothers must weep. All of the Lebanon must burn." Araghchi called the Israeli regime a genocidal death cult that threatens all of humanity. Okay? And Saeed Abbas Araghchi said, "This is not a rant by a random genocidal lunatic. It's a public post by the national security minister of the Israeli regime. The genocidal death cult headquartered in Tel Aviv is a threat to all of humanity. It threatens all humans. Its only interest is permanent war." This is what I said. Whoever thought that Iran would sound like the sane, rational country, and Israel like a bunch of warmongering, genocidal lunatics? Think about this for a minute. Iran actually sounds like the sane, rational country, while Israel sounds like warmongering, genocidal fucking lunatics. Trump asked about Khomeini Jr. here.
They're gone. They're all gone. And we're dealing with a third group who I actually think is the smartest group. And I actually think it's regime change, if you want to know the truth. These are different people.
How is it regime change if you have...
Because they're different people.
But you have Khamenei Jr., you still have a lot of IRGC officials there.
They're different people.
All right.
Khamenei Jr. is different from the father.
You have a number
And we have people that are much less radicalized than the previous two groups, of which I knew them both.
He's telling you. You know what Trump and JD Vance are signifying? Is regime change did happen in Iran, and we are in control. That we now have control of Venezuela. We now have control of Iran. If you go look at the Iran deal of what's going to happen, the United States, along with the GCC nations, are going to help Iran rebuild infrastructure and economically. What does that mean? JD Vance said this best yesterday. He said part of this deal is that Iran comes out and says, "Hey, we want to build this." And the United States comes in and says, "Yeah, that's going to be a good idea. We're going to help you do that. We'll help you fund that." But see, for Israel, it wasn't about stopping nuclear weapons. It wasn't about stopping Hezbollah, Hamas, or the Houthis, because many of them are actually funded by Israel. it was always about prophecy. It was always about greater Israel. It was always about expanding back to the territory of the Holy Land and dominating the Middle East with Israeli leadership, becoming a regional superpower to a global superpower. And since their point of opportunity has failed, they're taking the world down with them. That's my thoughts on this. All right, guys. And he goes, I'm the boss. He definitely is the boss. So not much for other news this week. Not big UFO, UAP news. I think we'll see some of that actually next week is when we're going to kind of see a lot of that. And I'm going to be talking about that a lot next week. So just keep that in mind. Also, don't forget, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week, no daily dose. There will be shows, but no Josh is showing his proper dialect. No daily doses, as I'm going to be at the Great American Restoration Tour. Maybe if there's a lot of breaking news, I will do a show from the hotel room. Depends. They stream downstairs, so maybe I can stream. We'll see what happens. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you for all the support. It is Friday. Make sure that you go on over to redpills.tv. You take a look at all of our sponsors. I know it's payday, so go out there and get your supply of X39. Get your supply of your Pet Club immune modulating mushrooms. Get your mush puppies and your super sauce. I appreciate all of you guys. Thanks for all the support over the years. Absolutely amazing. I love this audience. So Josh will be a no-show. I'm not going to be a no-show. But anyways, hope you guys have a great weekend. There will be some streams, no conversations on the fringe, but I do have some streams coming. We'll do a fringe binge. I got to upload some new fringes, but you got to do there'll be a fringe binge and maybe even a conspiracy stream this weekend. So pay attention on those different channels for all of that. Much love, respect. God bless. Take care. Have a great night. We'll see you guys next time. Good night.
There was a time when our children stood tall, hand on their hearts, one voice for all. There was a time when honor had weight, when the flag was a symbol, not a debate. There was a time when our history was known, with pride in the rules that made us our own. There was a time, respect for the brave, for those who bled, for the lives they gave. Now the homeland burns in silent war. Truth is twisted, we can't ignore. Voice still calls, we the people will not fall. There was a time, but the time isn't near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, veil under, patriots rise. We are one, land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. There was a time when truth was clear, when the media served, not ruled by fear. There was a time when leaders stood fast, guarding the people, defending the past. Now corruption wears a crown, lies are fed to tear us down. But Q said watch, and Q said see. The silent war will set us free. From the front lines, soldiers stare, wondering if we're still there. last pride. There was a time, but the time isn't near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, the veil undone. Patriots arise, we are one. Land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on. Or we will spend our sunset years telling our children what it was once like in the United States where men were free.
There was a time, the time is near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, veil undone. Patriots rise, we are one. Land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. There was a time, there was a time. Now is the time. Do it.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. The air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation. I want you to get mad.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
The more you fuck around, the more you're gonna find out.
These people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy.
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!